Welcome to another deep dive. We've got a really thought-provoking set of articles from the July 1995 issue of American Psychologist.
Oh, wow, 1995.
Yeah, it's a while back, but,
Mm.
still relevant today, all exploring the complex relationship between science and religion.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a
It's a classic.
it's an age-old debate, really.
It is. It really is.
We're going to be diving into the minds of some really prominent psychologists and see what they have to say.
It's a real intellectual puzzle, isn't it? You have these two powerful forces, science and religion,
Yeah,
both seeking to understand the world and our place in it,
right.
but often they just seem to speak totally different languages.
Exactly. And these articles offer such a range of perspectives.
Yeah.
Some arguing for a really constructive relationship,
Yeah.
while others highlight inherent conflicts.
Yeah. To kick things off, Stanton Jones argues that psychology and religion can actually have a constructive relationship, especially when we consider the cognitive aspects of religious belief. He even quotes philosopher and theologian Langdon Gilkey,
Okay.
who said, "Theology simply cannot go on its way without attending to the data of the sciences and to their interpretations of both nature and man."
So that's an interesting point because
Right.
it really suggests that theology and, by extension, religion
Right.
needs to engage with scientific findings about human nature.
Absolutely.
Jones seems to believe that psychology can help bridge the gap between the two.
And what's fascinating is that Jones doesn't just stop there.
Okay.
He goes on to suggest that personal religious beliefs can actually enhance scientific inquiry.
Hmm.
He even provides examples of scientists who have integrated their spiritual awareness into their work, showing how faith can inspire and inform scientific exploration.
But isn't that a really slippery slope, though? Couldn't that lead to scientists prioritizing their beliefs over objective evidence?
That's a valid concern, and it's precisely the point that Brian Cox raises in his rebuttal.
Okay.
Cox argues that Jones only addressed the peripheral aspects of religion, overlooking the fundamental differences in methodology.
Okay, so let's dive into those differences.
Yeah.
Cox emphasizes that science relies on objective experimentation.
Right.
Formulate a hypothesis.
Right.
You design an experiment to test it, and you draw conclusions based on the evidence.
Exactly. And that evidence needs to be repeatable and verifiable by others.
Right.
In contrast, religion is grounded in subjective, intuitive experiences.
Okay.
You think about the concept of faith.
Yeah.
It's a deeply personal belief system that often goes beyond what can be measured or proven scientifically.
So Cox uses a really powerful analogy to illustrate this point.
Okay.
He says the objective existence of something does not depend upon our ability to perceive it through objective means.
It's like saying just because we can't see or touch something with our senses or measure it with scientific instruments,
Right.
it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It's a thought-provoking point.
It is.
And it challenges us to really consider the limitations of scientific inquiry.
Right.
Are there aspects of reality that science simply cannot grasp?
Right.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
But before we get too philosophical,
Okay.
let's bring in another perspective.
Good.
Herman and Marcos Aguinas.
Okay.
And we're going to pronounce that Aguinas, like the beer.
A Guinness. I love it.
They offer a more critical view of the relationship between psychological science and religion.
They delve deeper into this potential conflict, and while they agree with Jones about the role of personal beliefs in the practice of psychology,
Yeah. They draw a clear line when it comes to the science of psychology.
yeah,
They argue that while therapists might incorporate their personal beliefs into how they interact with patients,
yeah,
scientific research itself needs to remain objective
right.
and solely based on evidence.
And they provide some very specific examples to illustrate their point.
Okay.
One key difference lies in the types of assertions made by science and religion.
Okay.
So, for example, a scientific assertion might be, administering this drug reduces anxiety in 80% of the test subjects. It's neutral and based on measurable data.
Right.
Whereas a religious assertion might be, prayer can heal the sick.
Right.
It invokes a power beyond the realm of scientific measurement.
Yeah.
And while personal testimonies might support the religious assertion, it's not something that can be tested in a controlled scientific way.
Right.
This difference in the types of assertions points to a fundamental difference in the nature of truth in science versus religion.
Interesting.
Yeah. Aginnis also point out the different functions of models in science and religion.
Okay.
Like in science,
Yeah.
models are representations of reality
Yeah.
that we can use to like test and refine our understanding.
Right, like a model is a solar system.
Exactly.
We use it to visualize the planets and their orbits.
Right.
But we're constantly updating it
Right.
as we learn more.
Exactly. But in religion, models often hold much deeper symbolic meanings.
Okay.
Think about the concept of heaven and hell. Right.
They're not physical places
Yeah.
that we can map or measure,
Right.
but they represent really profound spiritual concepts.
So while both science and religion use models,
Mm.
they serve very different purposes.
Right.
Aginnis even go so far as to say that Jones's idea of common ground between science and religion is so broad
Yeah.
that it could be applied to art or various ideologies,
Right.
diluting its significance.
They raise a very provocative point.
Okay.
If a researcher rejects a scientific finding because it contradicts their religious beliefs, aren't they just prioritizing faith over evidence?
It's a really tough one.
It is.
How do we reconcile our deeply held beliefs with scientific discoveries that might challenge them?
It speaks to the importance of critical thinking,
Yeah.
of being willing to examine our own assumptions and biases.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Finally, we have L. Charles Ward, who takes a much more definitive stance.
Okay.
He just states that religion and science are mutually exclusive.
Wow.
Period. He doesn't really leave much room for interpretation there, does he?
Not really.
No, well, he doesn't elaborate much.
Yeah.
Ward's stark statement just adds another layer to the debate.
It does.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
does he represent like a silent majority who feel the same way but don't voice it?
Right.
Or is he an outlier in the field?
It's interesting because while we've been exploring these different perspectives,
Right.
I can't help but think about the historical tension between science and religion.
Yeah.
You've got Galileo being condemned by the church for his heliocentric model.
Right.
And even today you have debates about evolution versus creationism.
It's true.
Like, those are prime examples
Yeah.
of how science and religion have often been at odds.
Right. But it's important to remember that it's not always a battle.
Right.
There are many scientists who are also deeply religious
Oh, absolutely.
and people of faith who embrace scientific discoveries.
Like Jones mentioned, some scientists find their spirituality enhances their work.
Yeah.
And their faith informs their approach to scientific inquiry.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an either proposition for everyone.
And that's a really important point to emphasize.
Yeah.
This deep dive isn't about like declaring a winner in some cosmic showdown
Right.
between science and religion.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the complexities of their relationship, the points of convergence and divergence,
Yeah.
and ultimately how these two forces shape our understanding of the world and our place in it.
It's about recognizing that for many people, their faith and their acceptance of scientific principles
Right.
coexist quite comfortably.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's even more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Perhaps someone can appreciate the beauty and awe of the universe
Yeah.
as revealed by astronomy,
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't ascribe to a specific religious belief system.
Exactly.
It's about acknowledging the diverse ways
Yeah.
in which individuals integrate these two aspects of human experience.
Right.
And it's about respecting those different perspectives,
Yeah.
even when they might challenge our own views.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways for you, our listener?
Yeah.
What should you be thinking about as you go about your day?
Okay.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's crucial to recognize that the relationship between science and religion
Yeah.
is complex and multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
There are points of potential harmony,
Yeah.
but also areas of stark disagreement.
It's not a simple binary.
Right.
It's not science versus religion, but rather a spectrum of perspectives on how these two domains
Yeah.
interact and influence each other.
And these are ongoing conversations,
Absolutely.
both within the scientific community
Yeah.
and in our own personal lives.
Right. We're constantly grappling with new discoveries, evolving understandings, and the challenge of integrating our beliefs with the ever-changing world around us.
It's a conversation worth having,
It is.
engaging with these complex ideas,
Mm-hmm.
considering different perspectives,
Yeah.
and ultimately arriving at our own conclusions about how science and religion shape our understanding of the world and our place within it.
Absolutely.
It's a journey of exploration and discovery.
It is.
And this deep dive has hopefully provided some valuable insights to guide you along the way.
Speaking of journeys, this deep dive has taken us through some fascinating territory.
It has.
We've explored the potential for integration, the significance of differing methodologies, and the very real conflicts that can arise when scientific findings clash with deeply held beliefs.
But there's one more thought I want to leave you with.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the potential conflicts between science and religion.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the potential for collaboration?
Oh, I like where this is going.
Tell me more.
Could there be instances where these two seemingly disparate domains
Yeah.
actually work together to address some of the big challenges facing humanity? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a really intriguing question, isn't it? This idea of science and religion collaborating.
It seems almost paradoxical when you first think about it.
Right.
But on closer examination, maybe not so much.
Exactly. We always frame them as adversaries.
Yeah.
But what if we kind of shift our perspective and look for some common ground,
Yeah.
some shared goals? Could they actually be allies
Yeah.
in tackling some of these big issues that we face?
It's a really fascinating proposition when you think about it. Both science and religion,
Yeah.
they grapple with fundamental questions about existence.
Yeah.
Morality, our place in the cosmos.
Right.
While their approaches might differ,
Yeah.
their ultimate concerns really often converge.
Right. Take climate change, for example.
Yeah.
Science provides the data,
Right.
the evidence of a warming planet,
Yeah.
and its consequences. But it's often religious teachings that emphasize stewardship of the earth,
Right.
the interconnectedness of all living things,
Yeah.
and the responsibility we have to care for our planet.
That's a powerful example.
Yeah.
And it's not just about environmental issues.
Right.
Think about the ethical dilemmas arising from advancements in biotechnology. Science gives us the tools, the ability to manipulate life at a fundamental level.
Right.
But it's often religious and philosophical principles that guide our ethical decision-making.
Right.
Questions about the sanctity of life, the potential consequences of our actions, and the very definition of what it means to be human.
So instead of viewing science and religion as inherently opposed,
Right.
we might consider them as complementary forces.
Yeah.
Science kind of illuminating the how, and religion exploring the why, the ethical implications,
Right.
the deeper meaning.
Absolutely. And in that sense, collaboration becomes not just possible, but essential.
Right.
We need the insights of both science and religion
Yeah.
to navigate the complex challenges of the 21st century.
And who knows, maybe this collaboration could even lead to new discoveries,
Yeah.
new understandings that neither science nor religion could achieve alone.
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah.
It's in this unlikely partnership that we'll find some of the answers we seek.
It's a very thought-provoking possibility.
It is.
It challenges us to move beyond the tired old dichotomy of science versus religion and embrace a more nuanced, integrated perspective.
And that, I think, is the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. The relationship between science and religion is complex,
Yeah.
multifaceted, and constantly evolving.
Right.
It's not about declaring a winner or choosing sides, but rather engaging in an ongoing dialogue.
Absolutely.
The search for understanding that ultimately enriches both our scientific and spiritual lives.
Really beautifully put.
Thanks.
So to you, our listener, we leave you with this.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from the complexities of this relationship.
Yeah.
Embrace the challenges, the questions, the potential for both conflict and collaboration.
Yeah.
It's in that space of exploration, that willingness to engage with diverse perspectives, that true understanding emerges.
Well said.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for our deep dive.
It is.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.